You walked into a room, convinced everyone noticed that slight stumble, that awkward silence, and the burning shame kept you awake, staring at the ceiling until morning. But what if I told you that the crushing weight of their judgment was entirely in your head, and no one was looking at you at all? If you want to finally step out of this invisible glare and find quiet in your mind, please subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel. I want you to sit with me for a while and think about the sheer, bone-deep exhaustion of your daily life. Think about the last time you felt the intense heat of a dozen eyes resting perfectly on your skin. You were walking down a crowded street, or perhaps sitting at a long wooden table surrounded by faces, and suddenly, without warning, you became painfully aware of your own existence. It is a terrifying magic trick the mind plays. 1 second you are simply breathing, and the next, your hands feel completely unnatural at your sides, as if they belong to a stranger. Your voice sounds foreign, perhaps a pitch too high or a fraction too loud, vibrating awkwardly in the silent space between people. In that exact moment, the world around you shrinks into a tight, airless room, and a blinding beam of light snaps on, pointed directly and unforgivingly at you. You feel like a fragile glass sculpture placed directly in the center of a chaotic intersection, bracing yourself, waiting for the inevitable moment someone will carelessly bump into you and shatter you into 1,000 tiny pieces. We all carry this heavy invisible theatre around with us, dragging the wooden stage boards and the heavy velvet curtains. The heavy velvet curtains wherever we go. It is an incredibly exhausting way to live, carrying the crushing, silent assumption that you are the main character in everyone else's story. You walk through life constantly feeling evaluated, measured, and consistently found wanting. Every tiny mistake, every mispronounced syllable, every spilled drop of water or awkward glance feels like a monumental failure, broadcasted live to a silent but harshly critical audience. You take these agonizingly small moments home with you. You lay in bed, staring at the dark shadows on the ceiling, and you replay them in your head. The memories turn like a wound-up clockwork mechanism, clicking dangerously fast inside your chest, unable to slow down, unable to stop. The shame wraps around your body like a wet, heavy wool blanket, suffocating your spontaneous joy and draining your vital energy. You spend your waking hours carefully curating your movements, planning your sentences 3 steps ahead, terrified of exposing the flawed, raw, breathing human underneath the armor. Think about the physical toll this invisible performance takes on your body. Your heart beats a frantic rhythm against your ribs, pumping adrenaline through your veins for a danger that simply does not exist. Your stomach ties itself into tight, agonizing knots. You sweat, you tremble, and you exhaust your precious energy reserves before the day has even truly begun. It is like constantly treading water in a stormy sea, kicking your legs frantically just to keep your head above the surface, terrified that if you stop moving for even a single second, the dark, freezing waves of public ridicule will pull you under. You observe a group of strangers whispering across the room, and your mind instantly weaves a complex narrative where you are the unfortunate punchline of their secret joke. You drop a pen on the floor, and the tiny clatter echoes in your ears like a thunderclap, signaling your absolute incompetence to everyone within a 10-kilometer radius. You act as your own most brutal warden. This is the heavy backpack you have been carrying since you were very young. It is a bag filled to the brim with 50 kilograms of invisible stones, each one representing a perceived judgment, a sideways glance, or the leaden weight of other people's imaginary opinions. It forces your shoulders down, it makes your breath shallow, and it keeps your eyes glued to the floor. You navigate the world as if you are tiptoeing through a sleeping dragon's lair, terrified that one wrong step will wake the beast of public humiliation. You sacrifice your own comfort, your own desires, and your own authentic voice just to maintain an illusion of perfection for people who are not even looking. It is a lonely, cold place to be, standing in the center of that imaginary stage, blinded by the light. Sweating exists behind your own eyes that only exists behind your own eyes. We build these elaborate psychological prisons because we are creatures wired for connection, desperately terrified of being cast out into the cold. So we develop this hypersensitive radar as a twisted form of self-protection. We scan the horizon for social danger, turning the lens inward, magnifying our own flaws before anyone else can find them, believing that by being our own cruelest critics, we shield ourselves from the judgment of the crowd. But the radar is completely broken, and the alarm bells are ringing in an empty building. Let us walk together for a moment away from that noisy, glaring stage. Take my hand and step into the quiet, cool shadows of the backstage. I want to tell you a secret I have discovered through countless hours of quiet observation, a profound truth that shifted the very ground beneath my own feet when I finally understood it. I used to stand in the same glaring light as you, terrified of my own shadow, until I started truly watching people. And here is the quiet, world-altering truth. The grand theatre you think you are performing in is entirely empty. There is absolutely no audience sitting in the dark velvet chairs. The blinding spotlight you feel burning on your skin is actually a lamp you are holding in your own trembling hands, pointing it directly into your own face. The reality of human perception is far more humbling, and ultimately, far more liberating than our anxious minds could ever invent. Everyone around you, every single person you pass on the street or sit next to in a crowded room, is walking down their own foggy forest road. They are clutching a tiny flickering lantern that barely illuminates the muddy ground right in front of their own boots. They are so entirely consumed by the fear of tripping over their own hidden roots, so deeply worried about the dirt on their own shoes, that they simply do not have the light, the energy, or the vision to notice yours. That person sitting across from you at the table, the one you were absolutely certain, was analysing your awkward silence and judging your posture. They were completely trapped inside their own head, agonising over a conversation they had 3 days ago, or panicking about a sudden, sharp pain in their chest. The stranger on the street who glanced your way was not judging the way your clothes fit or the way you walked. They were looking right through you, their eyes focused on a distant point, lost in the dark labyrinth of their own personal worries, their own unpaid bills, their own unspoken heartbreaks. We are all deeply, overwhelmingly, beautifully preoccupied with our own survival. We are all standing under our own imaginary spotlights, completely blind to the elaborate performances of those around us. It is a psychological illusion, a trick of our deeply self-centered survival instincts. We project our own intense self-awareness onto the blank canvas of the world, assuming that because we feel so loudly, everyone else must hear the noise. But the world is delightfully deaf to your internal screaming. Once you truly absorb this, once you let this realization sink deep into your bones and flow through your bloodstream, the heavy stage decorations begin to crumble. The invisible, oppressive walls of the interrogation room dissolve into soft dust, leaving you standing in a vast, open field, breathing genuinely fresh air for the very first time in years. You are not the center of the universe, and I say that to you with the utmost tenderness, respect, and love. Being profoundly unimportant to passing strangers is the greatest freedom you will ever be handed. It is a golden key to a cage you built yourself. It means you can finally put your hands wherever you want, without overthinking their placement. You can stumble over your words in the middle of a sentence. You can laugh too loud at a joke only you understand. You can walk out the door wearing a shirt with a faded coffee stain, and the world will keep spinning on its axis without missing a single rhythmic beat. No one is taking meticulous notes on your daily existence. No one is archiving your petty embarrassments in a hidden vault. Your mistakes dissolve into the ether the exact moment they happen, instantly forgotten by everyone except the unforgiving, hyperactive archivist living inside your own mind. It is time to gently, but firmly, take the pen away from that internal archivist. When you catch yourself freezing up in a crowd, when you feel the familiar, prickling heat of phantom eyes crawling up your neck, I want you to stop and close your eyes. Picture a heavy, rusted iron lock clicking open. Hear the sharp, metallic sound of release. Feel the heavy, suffocating chains falling away from your chest, dropping to the floor with a deeply satisfying thud. As you learn to walk freely and bravely in these beautiful, unobserved shadows, I invite you to join our safe sanctuary and subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel to continue this lifelong journey of emotional liberation together. Let this new truth wash over your tired body like a calm, warm ocean wave, slowly smoothing out the deep, panicked footprints of anxiety you have left all over the sand of your own mind. You are free to simply exist. You are allowed to be wonderfully messy, to be awkwardly human, to be gloriously and unapologetically imperfect. The universe is not watching you with a cold, critical eye, waiting to punish you for stepping out of line. It is simply holding a quiet, expansive space for you to be alive, to experience the wind on your face, and to make 1,000 harmless mistakes. So please, unclench your jaw right now. Let your stiff shoulders drop centimeters away from your tense ears. Take a deep, incredibly slow breath that fills your tired lungs all the way down to the very bottom. Hold it for a second, and then let it all out into the empty room. The glaring spotlight is finally off. The exhausting theatre is permanently closed. You can finally step out of the harsh glare, slip off the heavy, restrictive costumes you have worn for so long, and just walk peacefully into the quiet, forgiving night. You are completely unseen, completely unburdened, and for the very first time in your life, you are entirely free.